All right, let's get into it. We're going to talk about a problem that feels kind of small, but actually has these huge, huge consequences. Why we all seem to give up on the apps our governments build for us.
You've been there, right? You need to pay a parking ticket or renew something, so you download the official app. You use it that one time, and then it just sits there, lost in a folder on your phone until you're trying to free up space a year later. Trust me, you are not the only one. But here's the kicker. According to researchers, this isn't just you being forgetful. Every time one of us ditches a digital service like that, it adds up to a massive problem, a complete and total wastage of public funds that went into building these things in the first place. So what's the fix? Well, a team of researchers in United Arab Emirates, they decided to get to the bottom of this. They wanted to create a new blueprint, a kind of formula, to figure out what actually makes us stick with these digital government services for good. And this is basically what they came up with. Now, I know it might look a little complicated, but the core idea is pretty simple. They took these old established theories about why we use tech, and they added in some new, really crucial pieces they felt were missing. Things like trust and the whole support system built around an app. The goal was to build a model that could actually predict what we're going to do. So let's break down a couple of these key ideas. First up, we have this thing called effort expectancy. It's just a fancy academic term for a really simple question. Is this thing easy to use? Does it just work, or do I feel like I need an engineering degree just to find the login button? And next, there's facilitating conditions. Now, this is everything around the app. Do you have what you need to actually make it work? We're talking about everything from having a decent internet connection to knowing that if something goes haywire, there's a real person you can call who can actually help. Okay, so keeping those ideas in mind, the first thing the researchers wanted to figure out was what makes us satisfied with a service? What creates that positive vibe right off the bat? So what do you think they are? What are the biggest things that make you happy when you use an app? Is it the design, the speed? Well, the study dug right into the data to find out for real. And the results are pretty interesting. The number one thing that drives our satisfaction is just perceived usefulness. Basically, does this thing actually solve my problem? Coming in at number 2 is confirmation, which is just a way of saying it did what I expected it to do. It delivered on its promise. And then rounding out the top 3 is facilitating conditions, that whole idea of having good support. And this quote from the study just nails why that initial satisfaction is so important. They put it simply, good experiences make us come back. Bad ones make us run for the hills. Seems obvious, right? But it's the foundation for everything else. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because, okay, being satisfied after using something once is one thing, but what actually makes us stay? What turns that one-time download into a go-to app? That's the real puzzle for governments. So let's ask the big question. Is being happy with an app that one time enough to guarantee you're going to open it again 6 months from now? Well, the study suggests it's a little more complicated than that. And boom, here is the big twist. When you look at what predicts if you'll keep using a service, the whole list gets shuffled. Look what jumps all the way to the number 1 spot. Facilitating conditions. All of a sudden, having that support system becomes the most important thing. Our initial satisfaction and how useful the app is, still super important, but they drop to second and third place.
Let's just let that sink in for a second. More than anything else, more than how useful it is, more than how happy you were the first time, knowing you have access to help and resources is what will keep you coming back. It's not just about the tech, it's about the entire support system built around it.
So, how much of a difference did this new way of thinking actually make? Well, you can think of it like this. The old theory was a pretty simple map with just a few roads. But the new model, well, that's a much more detailed map. It shows all these extra pathways, like those facilitating conditions and trust, that all lead to our final decision to either stick with a service or abandon it. Now, the old model wasn't bad. It could predict if we'd stick around with about 57.6% accuracy. That's pretty decent. But by adding in all those new factors, the researchers were able to boost that predictive power all the way up to 63.4%. Now, that 6% jump might not sound like a ton, but in this world, that is a huge improvement. It means we have a much, much clearer picture of what's really going on in our heads. Okay, so we've got all of this data, all this theory. What do we actually do with it?
Well, the great thing about this research is that it gives us a clear path forward. It's basically a 4-step blueprint for building government services that people will actually want to use. And here it is. Step 1, make it effortless. Simple, clean design is an absolute must. 2, provide real support. Remember, that's our #1 factor for keeping people around. 3, build public trust. We have to know our information is safe and the service is reliable. And finally, #4, leverage social proof. It turns out when our friends tell us a service is good, we're way more likely to believe it.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Just imagine, what if every single digital service from the government wasn't just built to be useful, but was intentionally designed from the ground up to earn your trust and to keep you coming back? This research shows us that's not just a nice idea, there's actually a formula to make it happen.